Okay, Shanee, we are intrigued. Should you guard your first degree connections with your life? Not with your life, i.e., not just accept anyone, but try to make these first degree connections your ideal customer profile. Do you think many people who are in your industry serving your same client profile as an issue, or should we connect with those as well? If so, what percentage splits do you think should be against your ideal customer profile versus industry connections? The answer to this question really depends on 5 things. And these 5 things are probably not what you expect. So buckle your seatbelt. The first thing is how you have proven to get your highest quality clients that pay you with the least resistance. Have you gotten them in your business directly, or have you gotten them through building referral relationships or partnerships with other professionals in your same industry? The second thing to consider is, how do you want to get your clients in the future? Just because you may have gotten clients through referral partnerships with other leaders in your industry in the past doesn't mean that that's what you want for your future. If your best clients that you've ever had, which are the people that you thoroughly enjoyed working with, did the work on their end, whatever that was, paid you the most amount of money with the least amount of resistance, if you got those clients directly, then I would recommend that a large majority of your first degree connections would be those people. And there's a reason why. Because if you're going to host events, if you're going to launch a LinkedIn newsletter, if you're going to want to message people, then you need to have them in your first degree connection. If you're not that great at selling directly and you have a proven history of networking, going to in-person events, building relationships with other thought leaders in your industry, and then receiving referrals from them, and you want to continue to do that, then obviously most of your connections should be other leaders in your industry. And your goal should be to have the highest quality conversations and to build relationships with the highest quality influencers in your industry to accelerate those referral partnerships. But there's questions within this question that really should be asked. So let's say that you get your clients directly. Instead of asking yourself, should we guard these first degree connections with our life? The question that you may want to consider is, how can we create the best quality content to attract whoever that we want to attract? And not only to attract them, but to become the first person that they go to when they need our services, or the only person that they go to. And that's truly how you become a market of one. For someone like you, content is also going to be critical because, as you may know, LinkedIn will only allow you to connect with 100-ish people per week. So you can only send connection requests to about 100-ish people per week. What this means is, if you don't create content, your growth is extremely limited. It could take you 2 to 3 months to grow just 1,000 connections if you're not creating content. If you are creating content, you can receive hundreds or thousands of connection invites in a day, in a week, in a month. This is why when people understand the structure and the framework of how LinkedIn operates, it truly is reinforcing thought leadership. Because again, instead of spamming with messages, the only way to really grow at an accelerated rate is to share ideas, to share content, to start conversations that attract the right people and that inspire them and encourage them to connect with you. If you're interested in learning how to actually grow on LinkedIn, how everything comes together, then go to yougrow.club, grow.club, and register for the free LinkedIn Masterclass. I'll see you there. The third thing to consider when answering this question, if you are going to target and attract your ICP, which for me is just a fancy word for your who, the person that you want to attract to your profile and to your offer, then who is that person going to be? And I see that you're a marketing agency, so I'm going to use an example of a current client who's a marketing agency owner, who's a member of EO, that is now our client. But the reason why he's our client now is not because he's targeting the person in his business who paid him the most with the least amount of resistance. So let's just say that big big company pays you $100,000 for a big marketing package where you do everything. He currently is transitioning from a done for you, they do everything model to a done with you model. And because of that, the type of person that he needs to connect with on LinkedIn and who he needs to attract in his content is a completely different person, because the type of person that is going to write you $100,000 plus check or pay you 8 to 25K a month, whatever it is, for a done for you agency package is very different than the type of person who is going to do a done with you package. But maybe within your business, you want to make that internal transition because you don't enjoy the done for you anymore, or you want to try something new. And so that's really the third thing to consider is, who is that person that you want to attract to your LinkedIn profile, that you want to connect with, not just based on the data that you have, because data will reveal your history of who you've served, but based on who you want to attract for the core offer that you want to have within your business in the future. The fourth thing to consider when really trying to define who you want to attract with and connect with on LinkedIn is the sales cycle. So I'm going to give another client example in this particular scenario. A client comes to me, him and his co-founder went from top aerospace engineers to building their own consulting company. And what they did was they developed their ICP around the type of companies that their colleagues kept referring to them. These companies were so big that they were going into 4, 5, 6 months without a closed deal, which was causing nervousness and everything, because they were targeting those big companies. And when it comes to those big companies, it takes time to build those big relationships for those big deals to close. They had several companies that wanted their services, but they hadn't broken ground in those areas yet. They weren't ready yet. And because of that, now they have to shift a little bit to the size companies that are able to make these decisions and move forward within a 2-month period versus a 6-month period. And again, this is just an internal, operational, personal decision, depending on where you are in your business, how much runway you have, who you prefer to work with, and not just that, but who you are proven to deliver the best possible results with for your future case studies. You know, one of my mentors has a podcast and says something recently in the podcast that really caught my attention. And he's someone that's brought a business from $5 million a year to over $100 million in annual recurring revenue in just a few years. And he said that the thing that made the biggest difference for them was not that they swung home runs. The thing that has made the biggest difference for them and has had the biggest impact in their business has actually been going for the singles. And that really stood out to me, because as business owners, sometimes we do miss out on so many singles going for the home runs. And so I really think that when a business owner is trying to really define who is it that they want to connect with on LinkedIn, who are they going to create content for, so that they could attract the right type of connections and invites, so that they get the right people to their events, so that they get the right people to their email list. It all compounds together. These are the things that aren't really thought about. The fifth thing, and this is the most underestimated, and I think the most valuable thing to consider when thinking of who it is that you want to create content for, that you want to connect with on LinkedIn. And that is a mixture of what I called timing and beliefs. What I see most business owners do, and I think that this is just because this is what they are taught in business school, or this is what they are taught by a bunch of other online marketers. It's to no fault of your own. But unfortunately, what most of us have been taught is that we have to bring people along the journey. We have to educate people. And that may be true in a certain phase of your business. But think of it this way: the quicker that you want to monetize, the further along in the journey that your who or your ICP should be. I'll prove this to you with one question. Would it be easier for me to get inbound LinkedIn clients who already believe that LinkedIn is important but just want to up their game, or who are just so in love with TikTok and Instagram? And we both know that answer. It's going to be much easier for me to get LinkedIn clients if I create content for people like yourself who already see the value of LinkedIn, but just want to learn how to use it better as a tool to leverage for their business. If I went to Instagram and TikTok and I started to be like, no, you should be on LinkedIn, you should be on LinkedIn, I am choosing to fight a tsunami. Will there be people that get intrigued? Yes. But what I'm really doing is fighting a tsunami and making it a lot harder for myself. What is that trigger? What is that belief that someone needs to have that is ready to move along in your services? And the biggest thing is to really just pay attention to what people say when they become your clients, to that first conversation, and to really understand who they are. Because the more that you understand who they are, why they came to you when they did, what you talked about most that intrigued them, the more you understand them, the more you can create content that truly helps and serves them, the more that you'll be able to have those right connections on LinkedIn. And I'll tell you this, when you create content that truly helps people over and over and over and over again, you won't have to worry about guarding your first degree connections with your life. Why? Because you will become a market of one. You could open your arms and say, go to the competitors. I'll give you lists of all the competitors, and they will still choose you over your competitors because you have already proven to be helpful in their lives before they even get on a call with you. And that's what LinkedIn really is about. LinkedIn isn't just about LinkedIn. LinkedIn is about understanding how can you help people before they ever even get on a call with you so that those right people come to you. That's where I could help. And you know how to reach me. And then the only other thing to add here, you can have all the things. You can have the ideal customer profile, you can have all the data, but you never know who someone knows and who they're going to become. I'm sure that there's so many people that I sent connection requests to 3 years ago, 4 years ago that completely rejected me. And today they have either sent me a connection request or they would accept in a heartbeat. And the reason is because of who I've become. Don't discount someone just because they're not the ideal customer profile, because you don't know who that person knows. You don't know who trusts that person, and you don't know who that person will be 3 to 4 years from now.